Going. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. And in the previous presentation, you all heard it was on aquaculture, and you will now hear a bit more on the aquaculture in Sri Lanka, on aquaculture in Sri Lanka. So mine is on evaluation on the possibility of expanding that is for cage culture to the east and southwest coast of Sri Lanka. That is It is commonly known as sea bass, BOBLME obala, is a newly land species and has a high food demand. There are several desired characters required for aquaculture, and Brattus calcarico has a fast growth rate and it reaches marketable size within 4 to 6 months. It tolerates crowded conditions and rough handling by men, that's growers, and it can grow in turbid water and also tolerate salinity variation between 0 to 35 parts per thousand. Brattus calcarico is presently cultured in Bengal on the northwest coast of Sri Lanka, and IUCN Sri Lanka initiated 2 pilot projects to introduce this culture to Palakura on the east coast and Madugala on the southwest coast. Site selection criteria such as depth, salinity and pH at these 2 sites were within the accepted ranges. The 2 projects were implemented by 2 fisheries cooperative societies, Korekalapu FCS at Site 1 and Ampe Mituru at Site 2. So they were trained in cage culture techniques by 2 experts, 2 different experts at 2 sites. And these are the project details. Site 1 was implemented over a period of 1 year, Site 2 a little less than 1 year. Site 1, there were 6 growers, and at Site 2, 4. Cage sizes, there was a small variation, as you can see, but there was a variation in the number of stocking cages. At Site 1, each grower got 2 stocking cages that with the mesh size 1 centimeter and 2 grow-out cages with the mesh size 2.5 centimeters. Number of fingerlings per cages, again there was a difference of 50, and also the stocking density differed accordingly. The installation pattern also differed at the 2 sites. As you know, at Site 1, each farmer got 4 cages, so they fixed the cages to form into a square unit, and they opted to have them anchored in the lagoon separately. Whereas at Site 2, they had only 2 cages, and they opted to fix them all together so that it was in one linear pattern. And there was a reason for them to do that, which we'll come to know later. The cages were stocked with 2 months old sea bass fingerlings imported from Thailand by a private hatchery, and they were fed initially with pellets and then a mixture of pellets and trash fish, and then finally trash fish. And they were graded at the correct time. We managed to get the weight samples, weight measurements at Site 1 in September, October and December. As you can see, there was a variation within the site growth variation between the growers. And we realized that this was mainly due to the commitment of the growers. As the fish had to be fed at the correct time of the day and given the correct quantities, they had to be graded at the correct time, and also the cages had to be cleaned because the fouling prevented water circulation through the mesh cages. If there are fouling organisms such as oysters and barnacles, mussels. The fish were harvested at the end of 6 months, and the sale value at Site 1 was this month, 86,620 LKR, and each grower got about 10,000 rupees, and they were happy. At Site 2, they got the double the amount, and they were happier. But we were not happy with this figure because we had stocked 5,600, and the number that harvested was 710, because that was the amount, that was the number number of fish that attain the minimum weight of 500 grams, which the buyer wanted. So we looked at we went through several issues. We observed several issues and we compared these issues against Site 1 and Site 2. The predation by pond herons and catfish was evident at Site 1, but not Site 2. Parasitic infection, trichodina, both stocks got affected by this parasitic infection. Fouling organisms, as I told you, oysters and mussels were evident at Site 1, the cages, which prevented the water circulation, and damages to cages, possibly sabotage at Site 1, theft and human interference. As you can see, the last three issues could have been avoided if the commitment of if the growers took a little more careful. Now, I was referring to human interference. So this is what happened at Site 1. The rod and line fishermen used the platforms as their base. So they kept, the sea bass was very susceptible. They were very, they should not be disturbed because they get stressed out. So that could have affected the growth. And now Site 2, when I mentioned that they opted to have all the cages fixed in one unit. As soon as it was installed, they built this little security hut, and they took turns. Four fishermen took turns to do the round-the-clock security. So the last three issues that I referred to, damage, the sabotage, theft, and human interference, were not observed at Site 2. This slide shows the parasitic infection at Site 1. They were treated after about 8 days with formalin. We were able to bring this disease under control. And the conclusion is that calcarium can be cultured in the east and southeast coast of Sri Lanka, and the success of the venture is dependent on the commitment of growers. And we have a recommendation. We experienced, at one time we experienced shortage of fingerlings because they had to be imported from Thailand. So it is also recommended that as the resupply is available or to have a local hatchery. Thank you.
Another big one. 7 minutes, 49 seconds. Again, we have almost 3 minutes we've got to find. Let's have some questions first about what you learned, what you